Hey folks, it's Peter Goldshire. You know, as an avid Arsenal fan, I had the pleasure of watching them thrash AC Milan on March 6th. And I bought the tickets for the Arsenal versus AC Milan match from Onlineticketexpress, and I gotta say that they were the easiest tickets I'd ever bought. I made an account on their website and bought my tickets. It was that simple. I took my whole family along to see this spectacular match, and I gotta say, despite the price, it was well worth it. To see my little Dennis go wild supporting Arsenal lit up my heart. Thank you so much for this great family moment online Ticket Express. Without you, we never would have seen the match, and that father-son moment wouldn't have happened.